suspect heaven may be full of an extraordinary number of people who have come in just the same way as I've come, from not believing at all in their childish state, in other words, while in this universe, to wanting God to exist with all their heart. It's a big change, one that we call being born again. It's such a dramatic change, and that's become Christian jargon, so it's repellent jargon to the secular, the non-believing sort of person. But they do know how they are completely different when they love. A person who falls in love is a completely different person to when he wasn't in love. Everything is brighter, more vivid, more creative, more active, more joyful, more peaceful, more wonderful, more loving. Life abundant. Just to think of one's beloved is heaven. That's a dramatic change. That's being born again. It may be a bit temporary, only lasted a while. And then, what you would ascribe to this very ordinary person, actually, was way beyond what they were. When you come to what you then see later as a reality, you're disillusioned and the loss is tragic and perhaps wretched, unless you stumble on to someone else, another dream. And we tend to. Thank goodness. Until we learn what the real meaning of life could therefore be. Someone who is faithful and true and loves you forever and is very able, creator of all perhaps. That's where your love should really be. There's no question of it. It's absurd to love anything else. Oh, you want a material, embodied, such person, but the material is transitory. The God you want to worship is not. Not only that, but in as far as this God is really your values that you have at present, namely for someone to be wonderful and permanently wonderful and a great blessing to you. Well, the physical is not permanent. So your God is spiritual in some sense. And it's the embodiment of who you are. From your point of view then, your form of spiritual, what you value. That you are not physical, not really. You're physical in appearance, yes, you're embodied, but it's the you that's embodied, and what the you is in some some sense quite intangible, something associated with thought and values and purpose, and all those things you can't physically get hold of, but simply are terribly important. What your thought life is everything to you. It is what you think. So you start to see the importance of spirit as opposed to the physical. And that the eternal has to be in some sense in that realm, not the physical, which is ever changing, ever passing away, coming and going. Not to mention ignorance and uncertainty and misunderstanding and, oh, you name it, a host of things. Well, I think I did this, I put this together yesterday, and I'd forgotten I'd done this one, and I hadn't finished. As you can see, I've stopped here, and I think, oh, now this was in response to revising, presumably, one of the other recordings for preparation to publish. So let me see if I can track that down. Well, I'm by no means sure, but I think I can put it as a follow-up to Rudyard Kipling. Was it 2064 D123? This would be 4. Yes, seems very appropriate there. That I've recorded the 4th before D2 and 3, which came the following day. That appeals to me. God is master of time, knits backwards and forwards. I have this sort of notion of correcting this and correcting the past and altering the future and changing the present and going back and seeing if that is consistent with the past. Master of all, time, creator of time. Outside of time, our true being is with him, of course, outside of time. But we've come into time to good purpose. His good purpose. See, we may have missed the point that the secular aren't in some sense inferior to the religious or the spiritual, or, that the spiritual are superior in some way to the religious and so forth. It's not that at all. That's a worldliness that we've carried over into our analysis. Our children are everything. The early childhood state is, in the womb. Scarcely recognizable as, this is going to be the human being. So much so that our medical profession, being secular, sometimes wants to define it as not life, and can be, we won't go into that. Yes. The baby is born, and, we're all saying, oh, isn't he lovely? Isn't she just a lovely baby? And, of course, they aren't necessarily. Visually, they look a bit of a mess. They're not come together yet. I mean, goodness. We need a bit of aging and improvement and development here. But we know in a a spiritual sense that this is absolutely wonderful. This is, embryo child, now born. Gosh, it's actually functioning without, continual dependence on mum. And is he feeding okay? Yes, he seems to be taking. Yeah, not bad. We're winning. Oh, lovely. And we're all fussing around mum and trying to encourage dad, who's a bit bewildered as to quite what's the best thing to be doing here. And some dear old soul says, "Oh, don't worry about a meal. I'll bring you something in." Yes. Don't worry. You don't have to worry about. I'll bring supper in each day. You don't break your work. You need to be at work. You've got a family to support now, haven't you? I mean, that's all, ideally, I think there's this loveliness going on. The whole of the community, the fellowship, the people come together and they want to be part of this miracle. New life. How did I get onto this? Yes, that the secular, I wanted to say, are simply the child and lovable. You think, because you don't believe you're not loved by God. Oh, you're loved by God. God doesn't change because you haven't believed yet. He's still your dad. Heavenly dad, eternal dad. Made every atom of your universe and every moment of time. Oh. Well, that's a tall story to believe, isn't it? Okay. How do you explain this existence? Oh, well, I don't know. Then you may as well choose to trust in the best, especially when you find the best turns out to be, trusting in the best turns out to be such a blessing. But yes, coming back to my point, I wanted to say, and I'll say it again, the secular is lovable. But they're not godly. Yes, they are. They're children of God. And they're going to be as God. All of us. By His grace and loving kindness, which we are practicing being a part of. And it's crucial in our development that we do so. How lovely. Thank you, Heavenly.